So, why did this flop again? Why? Why did this movie not do that well at the box office, especially in comparison to the 4 chapters that came before it? Sure, it's not better than any of the chapters of the John Wick series, but as far as spin-offs go, it's a good one, and I am still just baffled that it is not doing well at the box office and it's underperforming. I don't know, maybe it's Mission Impossible syndrome and people are just getting a little too tired. I don't know, but what I can tell you is that this is still a solid spin-off, and it's leagues better than the Continental. That is literally the bare minimum it had to do to get me to give it a positive review, because Continental sucked massive balls. But this, it's a good return to form, and it has me hopeful for the next installments in the series. So, yeah, let's talk about it, and I promise you this will not be a half-hour long review this time. So, what's up, what's happening, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my station, which is your favorite everything mainstream, including assassin looking for revenge through the death of his dog, as well as TV and movies. I'm your host, Jackson Small. Welcome back to June-Wick, and yeah, it's a very long and overdue finale, again, but, you know, real-life shit, sometimes you gotta push things back. But with that out of the way, let's talk about the latest installment in the John Wick franchise and its first ever spin-off movie. We had a spin-off TV show that was an absolute pile of crap, but this is their first attempt at a spin-off movie with John Wick as a secondary character. And they did pretty good. At least in my opinion they did. I still really enjoyed this one, so yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Here's my written review. It's a lot shorter than the one I did for the Dragons remake, I promise. I hope you enjoy. Let's begin. I'm honestly really disappointed that this first ever spin-off for the John Wick franchise did so poorly in the box office. Mostly because of the atrocious Lalo and Shite remake continuing to nostalgia-blind people to the obvious reality. I hate saying it, but it's too obvious. Because I really liked this idea, expanding the universe out further by making installments focusing on the side characters, since John's story is pretty much done. Chapter 5 notwithstanding, we still know nothing about Chapter 5. Then you add one of my all-time favorite bands, Eve-anescence, to make not one but 2 new songs for the soundtrack, shortly after they killed it with Afterlife for the Devil May Cry anime, and you've got me sold pretty much on that alone. Like, I am a massive Eve-anescence fan. They were one of the first bands that I listened to growing up as a kid. It was one of the reasons why I remember the Daredevil movies so much. I just really, really love Eve-anescence, and it's so cool that shortly after, they absolutely killed it with Afterlife for the Devil May Cry anime, that they got to make not 1, but 2 brand new songs for another IP. It's really damn cool. And it's cool to see Eve-anescence back in their Going Under soundtrack era. And it has me really freaking excited for that next album. And while it took me a bit to get to it due to, real life shit, I'm glad I finally got to see it. Not just to finally conclude my John Wick franchise reviews for now, but also because for the first ever spin-off movie in this new cinematic universe of assassins and continentals and all that, it's pretty damn good. Action, while not on the level of the John Wick films, is still really good, especially when John himself gets to kick some ass too later on. It's not a spoiler, it was in the trailers, so I already knew that going in. Story is fascinating and unique enough to be its own thing while still bridging a gap between chapters 3 and 4. This is a movie that apparently takes place the exact same time as John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, and it kind of has that same style, but at the same time it has just enough to be different from John Wick. And that's usually a good thing in a spin-off. Acting is so fantastic, especially Ana de Armas, who owns this role. She is great as the titular ballerina. She is great throughout the entire movie. And of course, Keanu Reeves, still being as great as ever in one of his best roles since the 90s, excluding obviously Shadow the Hedgehog, but we're not going to get into that. Cinematography is outstanding with so much visual style. Like, it's the John Wick series. You go in expecting crazy fights and amazing cinematography, and that's what you get. Again, not on the level of the chapters in the John Wick franchise, but it's still really good cinematography with so much unique visual style and flair. World building is top notch. The soundtrack is phenomenal, as Eve-anescence, again, delivers with the help of both K-Flay and Halsey, two people that I usually don't like, as well as more great contributions from the composers for the movie's original score. Eve-anescence killed it in this freaking soundtrack, dude. Like, not only because they got to do 2 songs, but also because both of them are great. Like, yes, to be fair, Fight Like a Girl, I kind of had to listen to that one again after I finished the movie to grow a bigger appreciation for it, because when I listened to it by itself when it came out, I was more lukewarm on it. But now that I've listened to it multiple times after watching the actual movie, it makes me appreciate it a lot more. And then Hand That Feeds, such a damn good song, and the best that Halsey in particular has sounded in years. It still has lots of blood and gore, including doing that thing that the Continental did and having people literally blown to smithereens. The grenade scene, that's all I'm going to call it. The grenade scene. It is extremely gory, justifies the R rating, and is all kinds of badass. Runtime is perfect at less than 2 hours, which I believe makes it the shortest John Wick movie. And it actually does female empowerment correctly by having a badass female that's not a cringy girl boss for once. I don't know why it's so hard for Hollywood to get that right, but for some reason nowadays they keep getting female empowerment wrong because they keep making the other gender look stupid to empower the other one. I talked about it with the Wonder Woman movie reviews, and here it's a lot like Wonder Woman 2009, where the female protagonist is badass and extremely likable, but they don't knock down the other gender either. They sit on the same level together, and most of the time she's fighting both men and women throughout the movie. So, yeah, they did female empowerment correctly, and that is a godsend after Hollywood has fucked it up so many times. However, as much as I do like this movie, it's still got some bullet holes. John Wick had bullet holes, this one has bullet holes too. Let's talk about it. The action, while really good, is nowhere close to the fights of the chapters. It's an unfair comparison, but it's one that unfortunately has to be made. This is nowhere near the fights of the chapters. Like, the action is still great, I still like the fights, but outside of the grenade scene, I don't really remember a whole lot of it. The final act twist is beyond stupid, as there's zero build-up whatsoever. They try to throw in this weird twist towards the end of the movie that is literally just there to axe off one character, and then that's it. Then they never bring it up again. That is the one part of the writing that was genuinely dog shit. Rewatchability is middling. I'm glad I saw it, but unlike the John Wick movies, I don't really have much of a need to go back and rewatch it. You know, besides when I'm rewatching the entire franchise, excluding Continental. I'm not touching that fucking crap again with a 10-foot pole. To get caught up for the next installment when that release is coming around. Norman Reedus is a glorified cameo that does pretty much nothing. He's in the marketing, he's in the trailers, he's in the posters, and he barely does a damn thing. So, if you expect him to be as kick-ass as Keanu Reeves and Ana de Armas, you're going in with the wrong expectation. And the pacing is a bit shaky, as the second half does sputter out a bit. I'm not going to say why, because spoilers, obviously. But when you get to that second half, it does start to lose its steam. Not to the point of ruining the entire experience, aside of that really one stupid fucking twist. but it does start to sputter out. You'll notice it when you get to that part. Overall, though, while I understand those who were more mixed on it, some people weren't big fans of it, and I can understand why, but I personally had an enjoyable time, and as far as spin-offs go, it is really solid. Sure, it's got some issues and one very stupid twist that makes absolutely no sense, but especially after suffering through the Borefest of the Continental, this was a much-needed return to form for this franchise. I'm genuinely pissed that it bombed at the box office because this was a great installment. Like, none of the John Wick movies are bad. None of them. Like, Continental is the only thing in this franchise that sucks ass. Everything else has been super high quality and genuinely great, including this movie. And that's why my final verdict for Ballerina is going to be a high and well-deserved 8 out of 10. I originally was thinking like a 7.5 because it does have some really big problems, but the more I thought about it, the more I enjoyed it, and I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. I had fun. Let's give it a slight boost to 8 out of 10. Yes, it does fall short of the green heart of approval, but it's still a great movie, and I definitely recommend that you go out and see it. Like, stop suffering through Disney's crap remakes and go watch this instead. Watch this or the Dragons remake. Okay? Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. And if you're wondering how all these movies stack up together now that I've reviewed them all, it looks like this. With Chapter 2... Well, not Chapter 2. With Chapter 4 still on top, Chapter 2 in second place, and then 1, and then 3, and then Ballerina. Well, actually, I think Ballerina's over 3. I don't know. I'll have to look later. Editing will correct me, if it hasn't already. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the John Wick franchise, and I will see you in the next review. Take care, my fellow assassins, and do enjoy your stay.